How's it going, Andrew?
What's going on, Matt?
Not much. How'd hurling go today?
Big W. We won for Energy Masters, which is a fun team in the Milwaukee Hurling Club. Actually, it is sponsored by a brother Jim McGuigan. So he was on the pitch today because it's playoff season. We gave him a signed Hurley that had some signed by all the team. And on the other side, we had our captain had wood burned Energy Masters with like a guy building a roof on the side of it on the Hurley. So a custom Hurley. And the game started with us in a huddle, and our captain came out dressed like a WWE wrestler. He had like a wig on and stuff and gave us like a pump-up speech. And one of the traditions on Energy
Brother, we gotta win this, brother.
He was like, we are fueled not by power, but by potatoes and all this stuff. So we always, there's a tradition on Energy Masters that we take
his shirt off, do that?
No, we eat a bite of a potato. Everyone eats a bite of potato before going on the pitch.
Oh, jeez.
So we ate our potatoes. They were delicious. And we had a hard-fought game. I am bruised in a lot of places. 2 of them, not my doing. 1 of them, I hit myself with my stick in my own funny bone. So that was a big oopsie. But yeah, we won. It was a fun game. So this will be the first time since I've been playing hurling that I have been on a team that has won a playoff game.
Oh, nice. Congratulations. So you guys are advancing to the semifinals next then?
Yep.
Single elimination?
Yep.
Ooh.
So we'll see how we do. But honestly, our team this year has been, it's interesting. So like we have like a lot of like, we don't have any of like the best players in the club. I mean, maybe Kennedy, who's our goalie, he's one of the best goalies in the club for sure. If not the best, probably the best. But we have such good team synchronicity. Like instead of being like, oh, we're going to rely on like one of the best players to do all the work, we're all doing the work. And so we're outnumbering people because we're playing as a team, not playing pass the ball to best guy.
Right.
And it's been very successful. We've had a lot of heart. We've had a lot of players step up.
Usually when you play as a team, it works out better. That's kind of the whole point of a team.
Yep. So it's been really a fun season because like this will be the first season that I played that we talk a lot, like on the pitch being like, heads up, they're coming over. We need you to crash. We need to do this, that. Like, so we talk a lot. We play as a team. And it has been an absolute blast. We're having a lot of fun. I think we have high hopes for the playoffs. This episode will be coming out the week after the second playoff game, so I'm hoping that I'm in high spirits.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, so let's see. The weekend of Irish Fest would
we
be
have
the
off.
champion. Oh,
because everyone's at a tournament or working Irish Fest a lot of the time.
Right. Yep. So it's the weekend following that is the final then?
Yep.
If you guys win again, then you have a bye week, then the final.
That's what, yep.
So we'll have to figure out where we can record there because you guys are probably going to go out and party if you win it all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
There's if we do, I mean, knock on wood, but yeah, we go out and, I don't know. I was talking to Jim. I was like, do we go to your shed? Like, where do we party? So see if that happens.
Go to the warehouse.
Yeah, go to his warehouse and have a party. We'll see. We'll see if he pulls that out. But yeah, it's a fun season. But yeah, I'm a little beat up, but feeling good.
Right on. And as a little teaser for our listeners, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, See what I did there?
Meat and taters.
Potatoes. You were just talking about taters. So now I got them on the brain. This episode will come out when I am on my way down to Tennessee for the cave degree.
Ooh.
And that means I'm taking some lavalier mics with me and hopefully going to get some good interviews from some Florida members of the Low 12 and maybe some of the people I'm riding down there with, maybe some of the other people from Wisconsin that are heading down there. Maybe even if I can finagle it, a special guest who shall remain a secret in case I can't.
Oh, in case you can't, but what if you do? Secret.
What if I do? You'll find out when the episode comes out.
I mean, that'll be a fun episode. I'm excited. Also excited that I get to get a chill.
Right. Yeah. You're going to be working Irish Fest, so it's not like you really get a break weekend.
Yeah, that's true. 12-hour days. Fun.
Fun. More fun for your wife who was stuck at home with the kid while you work those.
I think her brother-in-law, or my brother-in-law, her brother and her sister-in-law will be visiting too. So it'll be a fun weekend.
There you go. Right on. All right. Well, let's get into this episode. We've BS'd enough.
Okay.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
All right. So today, I think it was last night, I was sitting on my couch and I was thinking about stuff, which is never good.
No, that's always trouble.
And I was thinking about how recently in Masonry, I've been so focused on the doing of Masonic things, meaning events, planning, administrative, fellowship, all those types of things, that I hadn't been actively using some of my working tools, and that I should get back to trying to work with some of them. So I was thinking, I go, well, and when I feel so inspired, I go, well, let's look at the EA ones are great ones to start with, right? They're pretty straightforward. They're very there's actionable steps you can take. So I started thinking, man, how could I start using the common gavel?
Oh boy.
So I was thinking if we could today talk about applications and actual applied ways that we can use the common gavel. And the way I want to endeavor to do that is I was looking up last night, for our listeners, the Masonic tool, the common gavel, right, is used to symbolize the action of removing vices and superfluidities from your life.
Correct.
And so that can mean a lot of things, right? And I was looking up a quote that I had where I was talking about that a little bit. But the key is that we try to actively take things away to make room to add good things, right?
Right.
So it's like it's reflecting on our own imperfections and taking refined steps to chip away the rough edges of our character. And so when I would mentor new candidates and stuff coming in, I would always tell them, I want you to pick a small bad habit. Something tiny, could be chewing your nails for all I care, and see if you can remove it so you can start practicing the use of the common gavel. Wow. That made me start thinking, maybe I can choose a bad habit and practice what I preach for once in my life and start looking around and seeing, so when you're talking vices and superfluidities, that can be very big, challenging things, and that can be very small things. And so I was looking up what the most common bad habits are, and I think we should set a goal that we're going to try to remove one from ourselves.
I have a feeling I'm about to get very, very personally attacked by this list.
So the key is, I looked up this list of the most common bad habits, right? And to our listeners, to Matt, to myself, these are the most common. So it's not unlikely that you will have all of these or some of these.
I was going to say, and Matt is going to embody all of them, most likely.
So I want to start trying to see if I can pick one of these to chip off. And the list consists of procrastination.
Oh, hey, that's actually one I kind of don't have.
Which it was defined here as the impact. So these are broken out between impact and solutions, right? The impact is it leads to missed deadlines, stress, and low productivity.
Before we get too far into this list, I understand we're on procrastination. Do we want to tackle these one at a time and have a conversation about them, or do we want to get through the whole list and then go back?
Let's go through the whole list, and then let's pick a couple to talk about.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the top. Procrastination, 1. Negative self-talk. 2.
Attacked.
3. Poor diet choices.
Attacked.
4. Sedentary lifestyle.
Not terrible.
5. Excessive screen time.
Attacked.
6. Smoking or nicotine use.
Attacked.
7. Overconsumption of alcohol.
That's hit or miss.
8. Impulse spending.
I'm not too terrible at that one, actually. That one I've got it under control.
9. Gossiping or negative social interactions.
Not terrible about that one either.
10. Skipping sleep.
Oof. Yeah, that one hits really close to home.
11. Clutter or disorganization.
Disorganization is just the sign of an intelligent mind.
A nice, rough, intelligent mind. 12. Mindless eating.
Sometimes.
14. Lack of hydration.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible at that. I run off of Red Bulls and Celsius. Come on, what's water?
I like this list because like so many of them are just like the silliest ones where you go, that's stupid, but also yeah, I don't do that.
Right.
15. This is a big one for Masons. Overcommitting.
Ooh, yeah.
And then 17, another big one for Masons, not asking for help.
Oh yeah.
So I figured this list would be a fun one to talk about because I think bad habits are like an easier thing to select one and start to work on compared to like larger vices, like, I don't know, if you have a gambling problem, that's a hard route to pull out.
Yeah.
And various other addictions can be the same way. I mean, some of these on here, like the nicotine and alcohol, those can be addictions too, and those are challenging for sure. But a lot of them are just very common. I think a lot of them are very actionable, that brothers who are thinking about this list perhaps can think, okay, maybe I can pick a small bad habit. And the key is to reflect too on why is it important and can you pull it off? And I think taking the baby steps by selecting very small bad habits is the beginning. It's like the appetizer method, where you start with something small so you can go, if I can do that, maybe I can do something else. Kind of like when you did 75 hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No. I think actually a very actionable one that would be good to talk about that's on that list is the very first one, procrastination.
All right. So I had this list and I broke it down when I found it between impact and solutions, right? Mm-hmm. So procrastination's a big one. I'm very guilty of that. My ADHD makes me procrastinate constantly.
I used to be very guilty of it.
Yep. And the impact is it leads to missed deadlines, stress, and lower productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that procrastination is a good one to identify and try to work on, because it can kind of make doing all the other things easier because you stop procrastinating.
Yeah.
So the solutions that they gave on a small breakdown is breaking tasks into smaller steps, which is kind of what we're talking about here with smaller ones, using time management tools, and setting clear and achievable goals.
Right. And I think it's important that we differentiate between procrastination and actually, how do I want to say this? Like ranking in order of priority tasks to get done.
That's part of time management, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it would be. So it's like a solution. But like that was one of the ways I started like getting over there's a lot of reasons I got over my procrastination. And one of them was I realized that other people are going to be relying on some of the things I need to do. And I'm only making it harder on myself and potentially disappointing somebody by not getting it done, or not getting it done in a timely manner. Like, for me with like ritual work, with memory work and stuff like that, even if I've done it before, I need to take like 2 weeks sometimes, depending on the part and how often I've done it, to refresh it. And if I don't, I tend to disappoint somebody. So like, it's one of those things that's always, if nobody else, I disappoint myself by not putting in the performance I should. And but when it comes to like ranking and priority stuff, I think it's important for people to remember, if you have a list of 15 things you want to get done in one day and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you only get to 7, pushing those off till the next time you have time to get 8 through 15 done that's not procrastinating. That's just, this is what you could get done, and those other low priority ones don't matter. And now that might mean that you had something back above them that suddenly is higher priority that you have to get done. But, if you stay on top of your stuff, and even if it's you spend 20 minutes a day on something, like I've been working on this bylaw presentation for the Conference of Principal Office. I started out by doing all my notes. This afternoon, before we started recording, I spent an hour working on the PowerPoint presentation. Probably going to spend a little bit more time working on it tonight. And then over the course of the next week, I'll maybe spend 20, 30 minutes a day on the PowerPoint and slowly chip away at it because I have time to get it done. But if you look at, right, like I say, I have time to get it done. That's like 5-7 weeks away, right? But if I wait till all of a sudden, if I sit there and go, well, I'll have time to work on it next week, or I'll have time to work on it the week after, and then all of a sudden it's 3 days before and you haven't done it yet because you haven't had the time. Now you have to make the time for it and push all this other priority stuff out of the way to then try to get this done, and you're probably not going to do as good of a job.
Yeah, and the challenge of dealing with procrastination, it requires 2 working tools. It needs the 24-inch gauge and the common gavel to work on that. And I think what's, the advice, and I'm not necessarily the best person, but as someone who struggles with procrastination, I am constantly in a battle with myself to fight it. The steps for me that I have good and bad days. That's the best way to describe it with my psychology. I'll have days where I can buckle down, I'll have days that I can't. But the ways that I was able to create more buckle down days was I started, similar to what you were saying, I get overwhelmed when there's so much stuff on my plate. Be breaking it down physically. I have a notebook, and it's broken out by time, tasks, notes. They exist online. You can buy them. And I basically will list all my tasks, And so you might feel like this is procrastinating, where you're like, oh, I'm just futzing around writing my notes to prioritize my work. But it's not. It's sharpening your axe. It's taking the time to actually be effective. And what I do is I'll break it out. So let's say there's those 15 items you're talking about. And I will then estimate how much time I think it takes to do each one. And a method that I like to use is they say in the morning, when you're the most jazzed, snag all the fast hitters and just clear them. Like the 10 minute tasks, like boom, 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 strike them out, and then focus on the longer tasks.
Right.
But that can change if there's something that needs to have certain deadlines that you have to move up.
Right.
But that's kind of the idea that I work with. And I think, it's funny that you say break it into small parts. It kind of reminds me of using the gavel, breaking small pieces off one by one. Break it off, break it off, break it off.
Side note on that, the only way I'm jazzed in the morning and going to get a whole bunch of stuff done is if I employ one of those other vices and I have some caffeine.
I mean, that's the thing is, though, actually, certain caffeines aren't actually as dehydrating as they think. Like coffee's not really that dehydrating because it's like 90% water.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to get your water count up for sure. But yeah, so that's procrastination. That's a good one. I think, honestly, that's one that if a brother chooses to pick that as their vice to try to work on, that bears a lot of fruits. And I think it can make a lot of other things easier.
Oh, yeah. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. And I would say step one of trying to beat procrastination is setting a plan. Like, seriously, planning.
Yep.
And holding yourself accountable to deadlines on when you would like to have stuff done, not when it absolutely needs to be done.
Yep, to set yourself a time in advance to be done in advance, not saving it till the last second.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's an important one. That's a challenging one for me at least. But when we're thinking about using our gavel, that could be definitely one that I think would bear a lot of fruit for a lot of people. The one that I wanted to talk about is lack of hydration. All right, so let's talk about the impact. Quick hitters. It affects energy levels, skin health, and overall bodily functions.
Yep.
So this is one of the ones that I think I'm going to actually target as my quick hitter, my quick gavel, because it's honestly, I've gone back and forth on this too, where I like focus on hydration. This is legitimately the easiest habit to work on because you just drink more water. Yeah, but it actually is like, I think we underestimate how okay, so I'll have mornings like today. I've been on the hurling pitch. I've sweat a lot. I don't always replenish myself after the game. Like I'll be drinking during. Tomorrow morning, if I don't hammer some water when I get home, I'll wake up in the morning feeling like I'm hungover, kind of. And that's just because you didn't have enough water that day. And I think it's very achievable to have more water. So the solution is 1, carry a water bottle. No brainer. 2, set hydration reminders. I have an app that I use for intermittent fasting that tells me to drink water too. And actually, so that little notebook that I have for ADHD people to track their time has a thing on the bottom asking you, have you drink water and how much? And it has you check off glasses of water because apparently that's another problem we have. And replace sugary drinks, your Red Bull right there, with water. So you were saying I can't do it because I don't have the energy. Sometimes your lack of energy is a lack of hydration.
Oh no, I completely understand that because when I did 75 hard, one of the parts of 75 hard was drinking a gallon of water a day.
Yeah, and so usually a gallon is a good
and that was all I was drinking. Okay, so I was doing protein shakes as part of my diet that I was doing while I was on that. So I would do the protein shakes with milk, but I didn't drink any energy drinks. I drink a gallon of water a day plus like 2 protein shakes made with milk. But that and a gallon's a lot. Well, I felt great. I was peeing all the time, but
so when I was in cross country, we would try to we would try to overload on water a couple days before a cross country meet. Not overload, but make sure you're paying attention to hydration. And the funny thing is with the peeing a lot thing, that only starts happening when you haven't been having enough water and your body's not acclimated. You'll find that when you drink water more consistently, you still pee a lot because you're supposed to be removing toxins from your body and waste. So peeing's good, but you do it a little bit less than you'd expect because your body gets used to handling hydration.
Yep.
But yeah, this is one that I think I'm going to choose, and maybe I'll report back in a couple of weeks on how it's gone. Because
I'll go to town with you on that one.
Yeah, because the thing is, so I used to have, I'm going to buy a new water bottle, but I used to have like a half-gallon water bottle. So the problem with the gallon ones, it gets hot. And so I go, I'd rather start with a half-gallon, keep it cold, and then refill and do 2 in a day.
So I was doing my 75 hard in winter. So
Just eating snow or what?
No, so the front or the back of my work truck never really gets warm. So what I would do is I bought a gallon of water, and then I'd refill it for a few days and then replace it because you're not really supposed to reuse those all that much.
Yeah.
But I would just fill up a gallon of water so that this is what I have to drink by the time I go to bed tonight.
So they even have water bottles out there now, and they list the times, how much water you should have by 10, by noon. Jeez. So they have like goals, which can be nice for breaking into smaller steps. So if you go, man, where am I at? You look at it and you go, oh, I'm 2 hours behind. Glug, 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 glug. Then you go, okay, I'm on tracks, because you also don't want to drink too much water at once. So the key is like, if you start in the morning and go, I'm just going to pound a gallon of water, that's not good either. Okay.
No.
You really want to spread your water throughout the day so that you maintain hydration. You don't just overhydrate. Right. And gallon it's a weird goal because I was looking it up a little bit.
It's a little high, honestly.
Where they say you should really let your body be your guide, but a gallon is a good barometer to say if you're approaching throughout the day towards the end of the gallon, but you're feeling satiated, you don't need to necessarily say fail by not finishing it, but you should be definitely more than a half gallon is probably fair.
Well, what's really funny, and a lot of people don't,
unless you're working out and stuff, then you need more.
A lot of people don't necessarily realize this is when your body is in dehydration mode, you start storing water, so you actually put on weight as you dehydrate yourself.
And it makes you feel hungry too, which can help with the other problems.
That was part of the gallon of water during the 75 hard, because you were dieting and working out, and getting water into your system helped fill you up a little bit, so you weren't necessarily hungry so you stopped overeating. Well,
a lot of the times, so like when your body sends a hunger response, it can oftentimes mean, and correct me because I'm not a doctor, if anyone is, that if you're really, really thirsty, you'll feel parched. But if you are slightly thirsty, food has water in it.
Right.
So your body will start to send that one too, to be like, hey, like anything we can put in here will give us more hydration. So it's my understanding that it'll stave off some of those fake hungers that are actually thirst. And then when you're actually hungry, you'll know it,
Right.
So that's what I'm going to start doing, because I think that's an easy one, and also like it's just good for your health.
I'll go with you on that one. I probably should before I do a motorcycle ride to Tennessee, anyways.
Yeah. So that's the one I'm going to choose. But all these ones are good. I think the other one I want to talk about is the classic Masonic problem of overcommitting.
Ooh, we could do that one. Sure.
So the impact causes stress, burnout, and poor performance in tasks.
Oh yeah.
Solution: to say no.
What? What was that word?
Prioritize commitments and delegate tasks when possible.
Oh, yeah.
This one has been actually one that I guess when I was saying I have been using my gavel, I have been trying to pull back from some of my responsibilities with my hobbies and various appendant bodies and stuff, because with the new kiddo and all that stuff, I've been feeling kind of burnt out because I've been overcommitting to a lot of tasks, which is also why you haven't been seeing me travel as much either, is that I've been trying to learn to say no until I can actually feel I have an appropriate balance.
I told you.
Yeah, I know. It's a pain in the butt.
I warned you. I said as soon as that kid shows up, you're going to have to start making choices between one thing and the other on some stuff.
Yep, and I think this is a very important one as Masons. I've had lots of conversations with Masons at fellowship and stuff talking about that they feel like you get a young Mason, he jumps in, he's so excited. Oftentimes when you're young, you don't have as many commitments. They overfill their schedule with Masonic activities. Then some years go by and they have a hard time getting out of them and finding an appropriate and healthy balance. And I think that that's something that is probably, I guarantee a lot of our listeners right now are going, oh, God, just like you were listening to the list being like, oh, boy, yeah, I feel like that sometimes.
Well, and, it comes down sometimes to making conscious decisions about where you want to commit your time to, right? Like before I had a kid, I shot competitive archery and was in a league that shot for 26 weeks out of the year and, all that kind of stuff, and was still doing masonry. And, once the kid showed up, it was obvious that I was going to have to let something go, right? Well, I let archery go because masonry was more important to me. If I wanted to dedicate my time to one or the other, it was going to be to masonry, right? And, but with that then came the decision of, all right, I'm a member of the York Rite, I'm a member of the Scottish Rite, I'm a member of the Shrine. How much time do those get? And the answer right now is virtually none. I'm helping out Commandery with a couple of orders, some parts I did last year that I said I would do again this year, but they're not speaking parts. They're just like floor work parts. So that at least makes it a little bit easier, but I'm still committing to those practices and stuff like that. But that was something I felt I could do within the realm of, being in the East and, all the stuff we have going on with our lodge. But ultimately it was like, all right, well, I'm going to be Worshipful Master, and that's where all my energy is going to go this year, is that and the kid. And hunting. I mean, obviously I go up and do stuff on my hunting property.
But the hunting has a less of a year-round commitment to it. So it's an easier commitment to still enjoy without. I mean, that's the thing is we're talking about time management procrastination, that you put 15 items on the list. And when you're prioritizing, you might find that you remove some of those and go, you know what, this is not what I really need to focus on right now. It's kind of a similar mindset. And I guarantee almost every Mason who I've ever met has felt at one point or another that they've bitten off more than they can chew. And that is a problem because that's where a lot of the Masonic burnout happens. And you don't want it to get so bad that someone just says, phooey with the entire fraternity, I'm out, because it's becoming a negative thing. And I think that's an indicator that the overcommitment caused the problem and there was a lack of balance. Yep. And if you are feeling like that in this position, maybe this is a good one for you to pick on this. I've been challenging people in all my episodes because I guess why not? But for the gavel challenge, if you feel like every day when you're starting to go to look at your calendar for the week and you see all your events that you feel dread, it's time to apply that gavel, and it's time to start saying, where can I start slowly stepping out of so that I can find a healthy balance where you enjoy it when you see it on your calendar. Right,
exactly. And that's the part. It's supposed to be fun, right? Kind of like you said.
Fun and fulfilling, yeah.
It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fulfilling. And if you're doing too much, A, you're not going to do the job you should be doing at any of the things you're trying to do. And B, you're going to stop enjoying it. So balance is huge.
And it's easy to fall into. There's no shame because, we're brothers. We like to help each other, right? And, when a brother, an independent body, a lodge, whatever group within Masonry, within a group or whatever it could be, once you help, you feel honored that they have that confidence in you, right?
Yep.
And you don't want to let them down because, you feel like you want to help. But when it becomes at the detriment of your own happiness, you have to find the time to say, I need to find a balance on where do I want to circumscribe this, and where am I happy helping and enjoy it, and where has it gone too far?
Well, and not only that, you have to take into account the happiness of your family if you have one at home, or your significant other. If it might start grating on them after a while if you're gone too much.
Yep, it's a big one.
You have to find that balance where you can keep yourself happy, do what you want to do, and keep other people happy.
I agree. All right, you want to talk about another one we're bad at?
Oh boy, let me hear it.
Skipping sleep.
No, let's not even talk about that one.
We're talking about impact leads to poor concentration, weakened immune system, and increased stress. Solution: establish a regular sleep schedule.
No.
Create a bedtime routine.
No.
And limit caffeine and screen time before bed.
You're destroying me. So attacked on all those points. Actually, no, I do have a bedtime. It's just later than it should be.
My challenge is, personally, this was another one that I was looking at, eyeing up, being like, God, I should really start thinking about this. I used to use an app called Sleep Cycle, and it's this cool app that would track when you're sleeping and tell you how many times you got up and down. It would remind you of your bedtime, tell you this is when you should be going to bed to get 8 hours. It would record if you talked in your sleep, if you're snoring, and say, hey, you've been snoring a lot recently. Is there a causation here and stuff like that? And so I used that for a long time, but until I had this kiddo, when it kind of felt redundant because I was up all the time.
That gets better, though.
Yep. So now he's been sleeping through the night more and more, so I've been starting to use it again. But speaking of procrastination, I am a notorious sleep procrastinator, where if I'm having a bad day the next day at work and I know something, I've been having a bad week, I will start watching something and stay up till 1 or 2 a.m. just because I don't want to go to bed. And what kind of creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, I'm starting to realize, is that I go, tomorrow's going to be a bad day. So subconsciously, I try to keep myself up, which then makes me feel like crap. And then I have a bad day. And so it's like a vicious cycle.
No, I hear you. I struggle on this on multiple fronts, seeing that I get up at like 4 or 4:30 in the morning. You know, if I wanted to get 8 hours, I would be going to bed at 8 or 8:30 every night, which kind of sucks because we get like the kiddo to bed around like 7:30, you know,
Your only
7:45.
freedom, yeah.
And like, yeah, like the only time of day like Olivia and I have to hang out, or I might have a minute to play video games or jump on the 9 o'clock toast or something, is after she's asleep. And so like we've kind of come to like enjoy that time after she's asleep. So I go to
that's
bed
the best time, dude. That's the sweet, quiet time.
Right. So I'm more like going to bed around 10:30.
I mean,
sometimes 11, you know, which is like that's in the realm of like 6 hours of sleep, which isn't terrible, but
I mean,
I'm 41. I probably need more.
Yeah, I think actually for some reason the sleep, I might be wrong. I thought the sleep goes down as you get older, like how much you need. Probably depends on the person and their health. But yeah, I mean, this is the key is when you're thinking about, I mean, we're just kind of talking about a list of random ones. I'm not advocating, I mean, maybe if you want to, but I'm not really advocating like go after every single one on this list.
Right.
The key is when using the common gavel is the contemplation of which ones do you think will have the most beneficial effects. So if you're happy with your sleep schedule, or maybe you just want to see small improvement, you could say, hey, twice a week I'm going to try to get, once a week I'm going to get 8 hours. You know what I mean? You could do it in baby steps too, or you could say, hey, I just want to add 30 more minutes of sleep onto my night and see how I feel. So there are small steps you can do too.
Yeah.
I knew you'd hate that one with your 4 o'clock start time.
Yeah. You know, that's one of the downsides to working in the career that I do is that early start. I mean, yeah, everybody's always like, oh, but you get off at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sure. But I also had to get up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I get done working while everybody else is what? Still working.
Yeah, there's no one to hang out with. Another good one that I liked that was on this list, which we have brought up on other podcasts, is excessive screen time.
Yeah.
Impact leads to eye strain, poor sleep, and reduced productivity. Solution, set limits on screen time use, create a screen-free zone, and prioritize real-life activities and interactions. So I was, reading this list last night, right? And I was checking. So on my phone, there is an area on it that's called digital well-being and parental controls.
Oh, right. Yeah, I have like a screen time thing but mine's skewed. I'm just going to put this out there. Mine's skewed because the app I use to write my orders at work is on my phone.
So mine will break out the time between social, productivity and finance, and audio time, so I can see
that much.
The social, like the social time, meaning I'm watching videos, I'm doing stuff like that. So I looked at it and I was spending, all right, let me see what I spent. On average, 3 to 6 hours a day putzing on my phone on something.
Oof.
And 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours on that on average was social. So that could be me on TikTok, putzing around, doing whatever.
Right.
So then I was able to look at it and break it down to see which apps those were. So the cool thing here, so then I looked up, I said, what is appropriate screen time, right? They said, 2 to 3 hours max a day. I went, okay, well, I'm above that.
So I'm usually sitting around the 6 or 7 hour mark, but like I said, I use it to write my orders. I'm looking at it while I'm like pulling my order, because that's where my sheet is, pull it from, and then I'm using it to print my order. I'm using it to select my next stop. So like I wish it would break down the screen time more so I could see like the other stuff that I'm doing on it, but like a good chunk of that is me actually working.
Yeah. I mean, it might when you look at it more closely. I'm sure you haven't looked at it super in depth, just in passing. So I was able to so I looked and I said, where's my problem child? It's TikTok. It's my problem child.
That's a lot of people's problem child.
And I went, well, yeah, when you're ADHD, that's like the best thing. That's like cocaine.
Scroll.
Yeah,
Scroll.
it's like, oh,
Scroll.
yeah, I can keep getting dopamine. And so I was looking at this thing and I was like, all right, so today I have an hour of remaining screen time before I'll get a notification being like, bro, chill. And I set a timer on TikTok to say, hey, I only want to spend, it was like a higher percentage. I said, I only want to spend 45 minutes max on this thing. So I set it so it'll time out the app and so you can't use it no more.
Yeah. See, and I don't know if Android does it, but
this is Android.
I don't know if Android does it. is what I was saying, because I'm on Apple.
Oh, lame.
I'm forced to be on Apple because that's the only place I can get the app I use for my job. But Apple has that where you can set your time limits on apps. Problem is, it requires a little bit of self-control because there's this lovely button that says ignore.
Yep. That's always going to be the problem. I mean, there's always a way I can go in and undo my settings too, but yeah. So last night, as I'm sleep procrastinating because I don't want to go to bed, I was just like hyper focusing on like, how can I start to fix some of these bad habits? And so I confess that I've set too much weird apps on my phones and other things to try to do a bunch of them. But that's the problem too, is so if you lack focus and try to improve too many bad habits at once, you're going to end up failing. So that's why I'm setting my goal on the hydration problem. So I think, how long does it take for something to become a habit? What's that thing?
It's like 75 days or 100 days, something like that.
Let me look it up. So my goal is that I want to set the goal on one thing, and I want it to be hydration because I feel like that's the easiest. And my advocating is that when you're trying to figure out how to start using the gavel, pick something easy and achievable that you can just integrate. Don't pick the hardest one first. Learn the discipline first and then learn. So that's what I'm endeavoring to do.
See, sometimes I like to get the pain out of the way all at once. So maybe after I get back from cave, I'll try to drop
Siggies
and caffeine at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it says 21 to 66 days, depending on the complexity of the habit.
Right.
A 21-day rule is pretty popular. So let's do the water challenge, and let's report back next month on the 1, 2, 3.
So we're starting the water challenge. Tomorrow?
Yep. And
what are we putting each other's goal at? Just more than you drink now?
I'm going to do a goal of drinking round up to 1 gallon a day.
Okay.
And I'm going to set the reminder then to...
Well, then I guess I'll be dropping caffeine because if I'm drinking a gallon of water a day, there's no room to drink other stuff.
And I'll set the reminder. I mean, you can always the key is just have your first drink of the day be your caffeine and then just switch to water too, and then you can finish it. I'm going to set it to September 8th as a goal.
You're gonna
check in on water.
You're gonna have me going into bathrooms at stores that I don't want to go in the bathroom at.
Time for bathrooms with Matt and Andrew.
I won't say what parts of the city I work in, but they're not necessarily always good at cleaning their restrooms at a lot of the stores I service.
Thank God you're doing number 1, not 2. And honestly, I wouldn't mind opening this challenge up to our listeners. If you feel like hydration is a good superfluidity to improve upon and remove your lack thereof, start at the end of when you hear this episode and report back in 21 days and let us know how it went. I
right.
Mind that.
Let us know how you feel.
Yeah, let's know how your skin care is. Tell me about your skin.
Now you're just sounding creepy.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
No.
So that's what I really wanted to talk about today is just an actionable way as Masons we can remember to do some good for ourselves.
Are we stopping with this one?
You want to talk about another?
Mm-hmm. All right, I thought we were going to try to tackle negative self-talk.
All right, let's do it. All right. Not done yet, y'all. You buckle up for some negative self-talk. So negative self-talk is a problem that a lot of people have. It's a classic one. This is one that I was steering away from because it's very challenging to address because it's not physical. Right?
Right. Yep.
So the impact can be lower self-esteem, anxiety, depression, big 3. And the solution is practice positive affirmations, challenge your negative thoughts, and focus on self-compassion. So this is a challenging one because you really have to, it's a mind-on-mind battle.
Right. We used to, my cross-country coach in high school used to talk about this one all the time. His big thing was, if you're sitting there in the middle of a run and you're going, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. You're not going to be able to do it because you're telling yourself you can't.
Yeah.
Right? And he was always like, instead of saying, I can't do this, say, just a little bit farther, just a little bit farther, or something like that. Take that negative and turn it almost into, he used different terminologies because it was the same thing you were saying, but you removed the negative part of it. Like it was like, I don't remember how he put it, but it was basically removing the negative word. Don't say, I can't run anymore, say.
I can run.
Right.
I can run.
Yeah.
I can run.
Yeah.
I kind of deal with similar issues. Well, one, in cross country, absolutely. The moment that you let that thought start to come into you, you start feeling more tired than you've ever felt.
Distance running is nothing but a mental battle.
I mean, there's a physical aspect, but it's the smaller part of the problem.
Yep.
So, like, one thing that I do when I'm playing hurling, when I feel like I'm feeling really tired, is I tell myself, remember to smile. I go, remember you came here to have fun. And I find myself get more energy when I go, I'm having fun. I'm here to have fun. Because if you get caught in, think, God, this sucks. It's hot out. I'm so tired. My leg hurts. That guy hit me in the nuts. I don't like this anymore. Like, you start to defeat yourself. And I think the key, so like last night, while we're talking about bad habits, last night, what started me going down this rabbit hole was I was thinking, like, God, you haven't been doing anything. Like, you are just sitting around watching TV too late at night because you had a bad week. And, like, you know, I was feeling negative about myself. So I remember pausing and being like, dude, you've been doing quite a bit. Like, you need to counteract it and catch yourself in the moment and be like, and give yourself some compassion and be like, you've been doing quite a bit. Yes, we can improve on some things. Let's start looking up some stuff. Let's do something actionable, not just sit here and dwell in it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people have this issue, and it really wears on people, and it takes mindfulness to catch yourself, because it does feel like a vicious spiral that entraps your mind, and it circulates with just more negativity. Like, you can't do this, you're too blah, blah, blah. You can't drink water. Red Bull's too good.
Well, and kind of like we talked about last week on the podcast, my way of dealing with this has been to turn it into a motivational factor. Like, if I'm like, man, that was wrong about that. And it's just like one little piece of what I did was wrong about that. But I always focus on that. I focus on like what was wrong. And I'm like, you could have done that better. You know, you really screwed it up, blah, 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 blah. And I always think my stuff isn't as good as it actually is in everybody else's eyes, right? But I flip that around and go, okay, how do you fix that problem for next time? Like, and then I use that as a motivational power to get myself to improve.
But the key is on that too, is that if you just sit there and you just think, my brisket sucks, I'm so unhappy, my brisket sucks, that's negative self-talk. If you say, my brisket sucks, and you look at it and say, you know, there are some problems, but I'm going to focus on the solution, not on the negative talk,
right?
That's a difference, because then you're transmuting it from my brisket sucks to saying, I need to do this next time, I'm going to focus on this next time. Not saying just tearing yourself down. Because if you start having symptoms of lack of confidence, anxiety, depression, stuff like that, then you know that there's a problem, right?
Right.
And so, you know, that's a hard one to tackle, but definitely one you got to work on. And, you know, there's a lot of things you can find on how to work on that stuff. Positive affirmations are one that I've experimented with. First thing in the morning, you'd be like, I'm going to have a happy, healthy, and productive day. Something simple. I've done that one before.
Sorry.
What, you don't want to have a happy, healthy, and productive day?
No, I do want to, but a lot of my day is controlled by other people.
Yeah, but you set your mind, the first thought of your day on a starting point, and then you let them tear it down later. But so, but yeah, you know, something like that. And I think for me, I do, the most one that I do on this one is try to challenge the negative thoughts, or I catch myself caught up in it and be like, dude, chill. Like, you know, your internal monologue's gone rogue, and you're like, dude, chill out, like, and challenge it. Be like, no, you have been doing a lot. And then also, if you haven't been doing enough, to try to focus on compassion. Be like, dude, sometimes you just need to rest. Like, calm down. Like, you're fine. We can get back to it tomorrow, or whatever it might be.
All right. Now I feel like that's a good place to end.
All right. Well, the challenge to the brethren is let's pick up our gavels and start with a bad habit. I gave you an example of, what do I got here? 17 ideas. Otherwise, I recommend, if none of those resonate with you, you know, just think about it. What's the small bad habit you'd like to work on? Could be chewing your nails. Who knows? Whatever you think is something that's tiny, then achievable. If you want to join us on the water challenge, start drinking some water after listening to this episode, gallon a day. We'll touch base in a couple of weeks.
A gallon a day won't happen when I'm on the motorcycle, by the way, just to warn you.
It's not to say we succeed, it's to talk about how it went.
Right.
And how, you know, if we were able to accomplish it. So I just thought it'd be cool because I was on a tear last night thinking about it, to tell you guys it's important to make sure we pick up these tools once in a while. We don't just focus on constantly thinking about doing Masonic things, that we also think about using Masonry like it should be on making ourselves better men.
Agreed. I do have I'm not going to add anything to those parting thoughts because I thought they were perfect. I do have a couple of things, though. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. We appreciate all of our fan engagement there. It would be nice, instead of just giving us a like, if you also gave us a share to help get our posts to reach more people so that more people can find out about us.
Or here's a plot twist, maybe a comment.
Oh, yeah. Comment would be nice, too.
Like to hear what people think and to see what's going on.
But definitely those shares help get us out there into the Masonic universe more.
In the digital Masonic universe.
Yep. Also remember that you can always email us at timeforfellowship@gmail.com.
Cool. We got to do some news and events.
Sure, we can do some news and events.
All right. All right, let's talk about some events today. News is a little bit light, so we're just going to go into what is going on around Wisconsin. So on August 15th, today, North Star Lodge number 187 in Star Prairie is doing their annual Ox Cart Dance. Ox Cart Days Street Dance, I should say. It's going to be from 4:30 to 10 p.m. On August 16th through 17th, Oshkosh Lodge number 27 is having their 175 years of Oshkosh Freemasonry.
Woohoo!
And 100 years of the Oshkosh Masonic Center.
Woohoo!
Magic on the menu, August 16th. And on the 17th, you'll have the 175th and 100th anniversary celebrations. For more info, go to oshkoshfreemasons.com/celebration. On August 25th, Oregon Lodge number 151 is doing a first responder celebration. It's going to be from 2:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It's going to be on Spring Street in Oregon. It's a community-based family event, so anyone is welcome. They're going to be celebrating the Oregon Fire and EMS District 130 years of service.
Awesome.
On the 29th of August, Lake Lodge is doing their Luxgoff social event. It's going to be $15 a person, and you can RSVP with our brother, Ethan Rosenlund, by the 19th. So you got like 4 days. So make sure you get that in. You can reach out to him via our social media. You'll see his information on there, and he takes payment via PayPal or however. You can always discuss that with him. It's going to be Lux Golf. It's like bowling. You swing a club, you hit balls, you eat food. It's a great time.
And don't worry about making a fool out of yourself, because I'll make a bigger fool out of myself. All right. Also coming up on September 5th, Lake Masonic Center has their all bodies that meet here open house starting at 5:30. Free food, bouncy castle. There will be tables here from all three Yorkite bodies, oh yes,
Kindred.
Job's Daughters, True Kindred, and Malay. So if you want to learn more about any of those independent bodies or appendant bodies, or if you have someone who is not a Mason who would like to learn more about Masonry, feel free to bring them by and come check it out. Both Blue Lodges will also have tables set up that night. Bouncy castle for the kids, yard games. Come have a good time and join us in fellowship and learn some more about the other parts of Masonry or Masonry in general. Also on September 14th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Lake Lodge will be hosting a blood drive right here at the Lake Masonic Center. You'll be able to find details about how to sign up on that on our Lake Lodge's Facebook page or in some of the marketing materials, which should be coming out shortly, if not already out, in the district mailers and things like that. So sign up is available online at the Blood Center of Wisconsin. So that link can be found either on those flyers or on the Facebook event.
Cool. That's events.
Awesome. Sounds good. Everybody have a great day.
Yep. Have a great day, and don't forget to use that gavel. Take care.
Take care.